$83.3 million. Most of it in punitive damages against Donald Trump. The sole question was how much he owed her for allegedly defaming her by saying she was a liar on this claim that he sexually assaulted her 30 years ago. So the judge did not allow Trump to even take the stand to deny the sexual assault in this trial because a jury had already found that he had sexually assaulted her. And as a result, this jury, not tempered at all by the fact that they were getting to punish him by saying, hey, you did it, decided to just throw the hardball punch with just a damages number. And now she's on, as I say, a softball media tour where she is just getting arms thrown around the neck and hugged by Rachel Maddow tonight, by CNN, by George Stephanopoulos. I'll show you some of that in a minute. But first, what do you make as a lawyer of this damages award?
Yeah, I sometimes forget that I worked as a lawyer, and I always forget that you did as well, which I think is a favorite of both of us. But I know from that experience that this is an extraordinarily severe penalty, especially given even the allegations in the case. I mean, this is not some case alleging some enduring sexual assault or some kind of a power exchange or something brutal or violent. I mean, I don't want to downplay it if the jury found that it actually happened, although it does seem extremely bizarre to be able to dredge up a case like this from, decades ago. And that's one of the reasons why they whittled away the statute of limitations when it came to allegations like this. But at the same time, we are clearly seeing the weaponization of the judicial system against people who have the wrong political ideology. We saw it in the case of Alex Jones with this, now almost close to multi-billion-dollar verdict. We're seeing it, you follow every one of these cases with Donald Trump. The judges are just so unabashedly anti-Trump in a way that they barely try and disguise it. It seems very clear to me that overall there is this attempt to destroy political enemies, and one of those weapons is the judicial system.
The case that Megyn Carroll brought against Trump was, it had a ton of holes in it. As I said, she couldn't even remember when it happened. She didn't have a police report. She didn't have a medical report. She had nothing other than two friends who said, yeah, she mentioned it at the time. These are friends of hers, and even their memories being tested now 30 years after the fact. Trump or any man accused like this, if it had happened a year later within the criminal statute of limitations, they'd have the chance to defend themselves. They'd be able to go back and look at their date book and say, I wasn't even in Bergdorf Goodman when you allege I threw you into a dressing room and committed a near public sexual assault. 30 years after the fact, good luck. What man, especially as busy as Donald Trump, is going to be able to defend against this? However, Trump didn't bother to try to defend at all. And that was a mistake. He didn't even show up at the trial that, asked whether he should be found liable. And not surprisingly, the jury went against him. So I think he was kind of not caring, they're not going to believe me. The jury's going to hate me. It's New York City, and he didn't do much to defend. But then she filed this request for defamation damages, and the judge didn't let him relitigate the sexual assault at all. It was just how much does Megyn get paid? And her lawyer told the jury, he's super rich. You've got to punish him. You got to make it big in order for him to feel it so he can stop saying that she's a liar. The thing about this has been bothering me all along, Glenn, is he does think she's a liar. Maybe he knows she's telling the truth and he's falsely saying she's a liar. Or maybe he just denies the charges and says she's a liar. If you get accused of sexually assaulting somebody and you didn't do it, they're basically saying all you can say is, I deny the charges. It is not true. I did not sexually assault anyone. But if you say, she's a liar, you can get sued like this if a jury finds it's 51% more likely than not that you committed the assault. That's the position Trump was placed in here.
This is why I just refuse to believe that there's not a political and ideological component, not just a component, but arguably the driving factor, because that's what I was alluding to earlier. It is almost unimaginable in my experience as a lawyer, doing civil litigation, to imagine a case like this producing consequences of this kind in terms of the punitive damages, in terms of the way that it's been treated. I think Trump's mentality from the start was exactly what you said, which is, I don't even know this woman. It was obviously something that, if it had happened, would be very important to her, but I think it would also be something that he would be aware of too. But the fact that he took this approach, I think, was understandable, given that the kind of allegation it was is the exact kind you want to avoid in court systems. That's the reason we have statutes of limitation, because memories fade, they get distorted, evidence becomes unavailable, and yet they really purposely remove statute of limitations barriers in the case of sexual assault for reasons that sometimes might even be commendable in terms of the motive, but in terms of the justice system, it makes it extremely difficult to get to the truth. And so to end up with a kind of double verdict, one where he's being punished both for having done it and then also for denying it, and have it be this amount, is something that is extraordinary. It's very much similar to the way the judge in the Washington case, the case brought by Jack Smith, tried to impose a gag order on him. There's clearly a political motive to these cases. They're trying to say that he led some sort of an insurrection or violated the law in response to the 2020 election. It's obviously intended to impact the presidential race. They're all but admitting they want this case to come to trial before the election happens. And then at the same time, this judge says, you're not allowed to discuss it publicly. You're not allowed to deny it. It seems so clear that this is a weapon of the judicial system. And that is what is so concerning. The judicial system is very powerful. It can do all sorts of things to you. It can take your money away. It can put you in a cage. It can even kill you. It's vital that it not be contaminated with political motives. And I think in this case and so many others like it that we've seen, that's exactly what's happening.
That's the thing. So Megyn Kelly wrote this book in 2019 claiming this happened to her. She said she was inspired by the Me Too movement to finally tell her story. Trump was the sitting president at the time, and he said, the woman's a whack job. This never happened. That was the first alleged case of defamation. Then he continued saying that after he left office, and these incidents became the basis for her defamation claim, saying, you said more than I deny it. You called me a liar. You called me a whack job. Just put yourself, the media's already run to say it's true because a civil jury found it 51% more likely than not that he did it. Based on that 51%, they've declared him a sexual pervert, basically. And they want us all to go along with it. They want us all to say it's horrible how Trump keeps dismissing this woman, as opposed to, let's just entertain for a minute the possibility that Trump is the truth teller here. That Trump actually has no memory of this person and certainly didn't sexually assault her, and that she really is some sort of a kook who decided to make up a story about him to get her name in the headlines, to potentially get money from a deep-pocketed guy. The media has zero appetite for entertaining that possibility, and therefore they take umbrage at she's a whack job. What's he supposed to say if somebody came out against you, Glenn, from when, 20 years ago when you were 20, right? You'd be like, this person's a nutcase. I don't know them. And so that's really what Trump has been saying. And for that, now he's going to have to pay almost $100 million, maybe. Meanwhile, just give you a flavor on this. She can go out all over the media and talk about him like this. Listen to what she said. This is just the latest taste. I could give you a lot of these. This is her describing him in the courtroom in SOT 2 on her victory tour. Listen.
I hadn't seen him since he assaulted me in the dressing room. And preparing to see him was terrifying. I hadn't slept. I hadn't eaten. I couldn't think. I lost my language when she was trying to prepare me to go to do testimony in front of Donald Trump. And there he was, and he was nothing. He was just no power. He was zero. He's an emperor without clothes. It's like looking at nothing. It was like nothing.
If he starts talking about her that way, she's going to slap him with another defamation suit, Glenn.
No, if he continues, for sure. And not only will she slap him with another defamation suit, but these courts will be very receptive to it. I don't know about you, Megyn, but when I went to law school and I embarked on my legal career, I had this very idealistic image of what the law was like. I don't think I was super naive, but I basically thought that the legal system was this well-constructed process for getting to the truth, that judges took seriously their obligation to be neutral. And one of the things that I guess disillusioned me about the work more than anything was to see how easily judges could kind of tinker with the process to tilt things in one direction or another based on whatever motives they had for doing so. And I don't think we can ignore the fact that Donald Trump is probably the single most polarizing figure in the United States. All of these judges who are part of the federal judiciary or state courts have very strong political opinions. They're people who are politically engaged. If they're in New York, they're overwhelmingly likely to be ideologically opposed to Trump. And as we know, people ideologically opposed to Trump aren't just opposed to him, but they hate him viscerally. And so I think what we're seeing in all of these cases, just watching, from a distance, I'm not in the courtroom, but I'm following pretty closely, is just these gratuitous rulings constantly against him. The way in which these judges are speaking is designed to kind of show that they don't respect Trump, that they're not intimidated in any way over Trump, similar to what she was just sort of saying, that he's powerless, to show that he's powerless there. None of it really feels like justice to me. And so to allow her to go around hurling every accusation against him, and then to have him basically constrained because you say, like, a jury in New York decided 51% more likely that she was telling the truth, and now every time he opens his mouth, he's liable to pay millions more, is just so viscerally unjust.
The pressure to conform to political correctness has undeniably suppressed genuine debate in this country, and it's time we put a stop to it. Enter Freedom 2.0, the unapologetic bottled water company that proudly supports the freedom to speak, freedom to think, and the freedom to listen. We can't afford to remain silent any longer. It's crucial to make our support for the First Amendment crystal clear, and one impactful way to do it is by choosing products from companies that champion our values. Visit freedom20, just the numeral 2 and then O, the letter, .com, freedom20.com, and use the code MK for a 15% discount to stand with yours truly and millions of other Americans in celebrating the right to free speech. Freedom is not inherited. It's something we must actively fight for. So raise your voice and grab your bottle of Freedom 2.0 and make a statement. Cheers to Freedom 2.0. That's Freedom 2.0, not Freedom 20, and champion the power of free speech. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.